Okay, I've got this is the upper surface of the first upper wing. The other upper wing's there, it hasn't been touched yet. I've put the reinforcing tapes on and I've drawn the lines where the fabric tape's going to go. I don't know that I'm going to record too much of this because it's much the same as the bottom, but just showing you that it's moving along. And it looks pretty good, I'm fairly happy with it. The fabric tapes will probably finish about here somewhere, and then there'll be a 2-inch tape go across the front which will hold those fabric tapes down. Pretty simple. Make a couple of doilies for here and the fuel cap, the fuel filler cap. Yeah, what's this one? Yeah, this is the vent. I didn't want to put the vent in the cap like the drawing sort of shows. I put it over here by itself. Yeah, so let's get into it. I'm going to, same as the underside, I'm going to put the Eco-Bond on these. Actually, the next step is to punch the holes for the rivets, and then as soon as I've done that, I'll go ahead and put the Eco-Bond on each of these strips, then put the rivets in, much the same as I did on the underside of the wing. That's it. Okay, let's just catch up on some of the details. Whoopsie, that didn't take long. Yeah, we'll catch up on some of the details of the upper fabric on the upper wings. You know, I'm not going to go through applying the reinforcing tape or the fabric tapes. If you want to see that, just go to one of the other videos, one of the earlier videos. But I'll show you the things that are a bit different, that's all. And on this particular wing, we've got the fuel caps here, which, if you look at that, it looks a bit poxy around the edge. So there'll be a doily to cover that. Ta-da! Which I just happened to prepare one earlier. That should go over there and hopefully make that look a little bit neater around the fuel cap. Same deal with the fuel vent. This is the fuel tank vent. There's a small doily that can go around that. They'll be two of the first things to get glued on, and then the tapes will be run over the top of them. With regards to this tape, I'm contemplating putting the tape all the way around the leading edge, because this tape, this part of the wing, I'll just put them away before I lose them. This part, there's a cover that goes over this part of the wing join between the two left and right wing. All right, now this is the fairing that will join the two wings together. It goes right from the very leading edge here, right through to the trailing edge up the other end there. Now, this morning, there will be a piece of 1.5-inch tape that will run from the up towards the leading edge all the way down to the back. Well, actually, it'll run from here. From here back. Well, all of the tapes will run from this middle line, right there, right the way through to this line, here, and right the way through. So all of the tapes will end there. And then a 2-inch tape will go over the lot and cover the ends of those tapes. I'm a little bit concerned that with time, and vibration and all the rest of it. There's only one layer of fabric here. So I've got a couple of options. I can run anti-chafing tape, which you've seen before. It looks like almost like sticking plaster that you put on a cut or a wound, and just put it around the leading edge. The actual fabric tape, I think, will be okay along the top here, but not at the very leading edge. So that's a couple of the details for this morning. I've already drawn the lines on where the tapes are going to go, so I've done that with each of them. I've already glued the reinforcing tapes on. I've already put the rivets to hold the reinforcing tape to the ribs. So I'm well advanced. So the next thing that'll happen is the 1.5-inch tapes will go on over those rivet lines. And then once that's finished, they'll all get cut off exactly the same level. And a 2-inch tape will be run along the leading edge and along the rear main spar. So that's a couple of the details that I just wanted to catch you up with today. Down here, let's just go down a bit. Down here is what I've made up as a fuel level indicator. It's just a piece of clear plastic tubing. And of course that fairing that I was talking about will go on here. So, and I'm sitting over here somewhere looking up so that I can see that. But it will be a bit dark in here. So eventually this will be painted white, obviously to ricochet any light that does get in there. I've bought these LEDs, which are exceptionally bright, really, really bright. My intention was to install 2 of them. I could put them here behind the level gauge, or I can glue them to the upper fairing and let the light shine down through them, and I'll be sitting below that and looking up, so I'll be able to see it. The matching fairing to that one I've been showing you that goes along the bottom, it's a bit shorter. I've cut a couple of slots in it and put a piece of Perspex over those slots to make it sort of look a bit more presentable, more than anything. But yeah, so I'll be able to see these in flight from the pilot's seat. But yeah, I think I'll attach them to the fairing itself, which is a bit of a bugger, but I don't expect to be taking that fairing off very often. I'll just have to make some quick connects on the end of the wires so that I can get at them for when during servicing and so on. While I was working away there, looking at the fuel cap, this is likely different to your fuel cap if you've got them. This is probably a marine fuel cap. It's not necessarily, matter of fact, it's definitely not aviation related, but that's okay. It looks lovely, you know, and so you don't get confused. It tells you that it's gasolina. But maybe, just maybe, I can take, I'll put this tape, or I'll retape this later. Yeah, maybe I can take those screws out and bring the doily that I made right up underneath this screw line. I don't know. Maybe I'll look into it. That might be the way to go. Let's. screwdriver, but let's see what my Swissy does. Yeah, there we go. Well, that gives me another job to do. Where are we? That was my doily. Perhaps I'll make another one with that outside diameter and something about here, just inside those screw lines. Yeah. And then whack that back down again. That'll work. Yep. Okay, while we're looking at details, we'll look at this one over here. That can come off as well. That was just to block the tank off while I was pressure testing it. Oh, okay. This is my version of the fuel vent tube. Obviously it'll be cut back. It's not going to be, way too long like that. But its job is purely to supply a little bit of pressurisation to the tank so that you don't get a vapour lock or a hydraulic lock, basically, that'll prevent the fuel from flowing down to the engine, even though I'll have an engine-driven fuel pump and an electric booster pump as well. But that's what that little area was all about. So I think that's about it for now. So I'll just go ahead. I'll put that doily on. I'll make a new doily for here and put it on. Something that'll look a bit better than this one. Well, here's my doily to go on under the fuel cap. Oops, the fuel filler neck, I should say. It'll sit there outside the screw holes. This will go on about there, and look at that. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Now, a couple of things. I didn't want it. I probably could have taken it a bit closer to the edge, but I really didn't want fuel splashing up and wetting the fabric doily and then wicking its way across to the fabric and wind up with a great big stain. When I finally put the fuel filler neck on properly, I'll put it on with some fuel resistant grease, I think, and glue it down. If you use something like normal grease or Vaseline or something like that, the fuel will just dissolve that, and it'll just stain. It'll be part of the problem, not part of the solution. But fuel resistant grease, and same with the screws. Put the screws in with the fuel resistant grease so it can't wick up the screw and wet the fabric. I think that's going to be pretty good. I'm happy. That's a matter of fact, that inspires me to go and make the other one now. This was a practice one, and but yeah, I'll go and make the other one for the other wing while the iron's hot, so to speak. All right, I've glued this doily. I've put the glue on, the Eco Bond. Now we just wipe off the excess without moving the doily, which is tricky. And that'll be ready to go. It'll dry out and glue itself on nicely. Look at that, beautiful. Well, that certainly neatens up. Well, it will neaten up once this goes in. I'm not going to stick it in there now, but once that goes in, it'll look really, really good. And I'll just glue a doily on that one, on that fuel tank vent. Not that you really need to see that, so I might not even show it. Well, that was great. You didn't see any of that. Fantastic. That looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy. Happy with that. Fabulous. Okay. I might stop at this point. Stop for lunch. Let this dry. And come back with the tapes. And I'm not going to show you that. I've already put you through that ordeal once. So I'm not going to do it again.